here, Kenneth, right? And here we go. And I'm going to go see if this is go there and go to live. And it does look different. Of course. Oh, man. Okay. And I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, which is provide that link. Okay. Now I wonder if am I? Okay, there we go. Just provide that link. All right, I think we're getting there. I do apologize, guys. I'm sure that was frustrating for you guys just as much as it was for me. Okay. Okay, I do see the chat. Okay, great. Mark says looks right now. Fantastic. And something else I'm going to do is I'm going to go find the previous link, which is like I am going to post that link there. And there we go. That was one. Okay. I'm going to edit that video. And I'm going to make sure that the playlists are set up right. Okay. And then on this one, of course, you guys can't see what I'm doing right now. Okay. There's just one or two more things. I think I think we're gonna be good here. Okay. I think we're done there. And I'm hoping that the my chat here is still up to date. Okay. Okay, and it is. I can see the chat going on there. And hopefully hopefully everything is really nice and crystal clear. And then what I'm going to do is open this guy up. Make sure I am muted. Okay. And also, yeah, you should see everything now in the playlist. All right. Okay. Now I am ready to resume. Um, hmm. Just need to get the link there. Boom. So 5, we've got this one, and then the current one. So do you guys like this where I'm providing all the links and everything? I thought it would be great. I learned that I can actually sort of show this publicly so you guys can get to all the links and stuff rather than me using a repository like I do here for the workshops. I have to do a git push and all that stuff. Okay. So we've got topic suggestions. And I believe what you were saying, Kenneth, was you want to the standard Power Apps, or we should just call it Power FX functions. And
yeah,
we have that standard. I'll just actually put that there. And then user defined functions. And we will definitely cover user defined types, imperative code, and app formulas. Okay, and now I'm going to provide a link.
Yeah, I think what I meant is more correct is the formulas, the PowerFX formulas. Yeah.
Okay. So probably that link right there, right? The all the
Yes,
functions.
exactly.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we have that. Now, I do have some material at powerplatformlinks.com, and I'm going to say user defined. Let's see what we got there. So this is sort of like a blog post or an article that goes through much of this. So, don't do it now, but, maybe actually step through this, see what I go over, and let me know if you have any questions. I mean, we could completely just, cover everything that's in here. Absolutely. Article on user defined functions and UDTs. Okay. And this link is just, okay, very good. And types. And what I had to also put in here would be slipped my mind. It'll come back in a second, hopefully. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to say. We'll definitely cover this. Okay, app formulas. And really that's a part of the app formula. You can only do the functions and the types there. So we do have imperative code. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, so I'm going to say functions. Well, yeah, creating functions. I'll say commonly used functions. and ones I would probably put in my template. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to show you guys. Well, actually, it's right here. If you go find me on GitHub, I have these pinned here. So here's my PowerFX snippets, my stock templates remastered, and then after that, I've got some Microsoft repos I think that are probably going to be very interesting to you. So this is the PowerFX repository from Microsoft. So it would be a shame if we didn't cover that, right? I need to redo this here. We'll say Microsoft, GitHub, Microsoft, PowerFX. Paste that there like that. Okay. So there's that. And if I open up this tag here, look at all this stuff. We got PowerApps tooling. Oh, what's that? Execute PowerFX in your client via .NET JS interop. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, I've already started. Okay. So we could take a look at repos like this. I'll say other GitHub content. So I'm going to put, no, I don't like that. I am going to find, okay, I'm just going to get this guy right there. And something I usually do is I'll go to the person's profile, click on repos, go to stars, and this is the most starred. CDS Solution Developer Docs. Okay, I'd like to check out what that is. Azure DevOps open in VS Code Dev. Okay. All right. It doesn't look like there's much here. There's only a README. All right. And I'm going to paste that guy there. And let's see, get that link. So I may or may not cover these individual things here. It just, if I go check it out and there's not a lot of substance there, or it doesn't really add value to you guys, or if you're not looking to learn that, then I won't be covering it. Now, what I wanted to do is go to the PowerFX snippets, and I will get that text. I should probably get this guy's name. Put that in there. All right. Hopefully you guys don't mind this being like a brainstorming session. I'm completely comfortable jumping into any of these topics here within this live stream. But what I want to know, I would love to get you guys' feedback. So some things I think that are probably like everybody knows. And that's sort of like, it's common with people that have mastered, or they know something really well. They start to assume that everybody knows it, but that's not always the case. All right, so I have this link here. Paste that there. Okay. Create functions, part of a use one template. Now, let's go into this repository. Well, that's PowerFX. So in my snippets, I do have an app formulas. So I can tell you there are some things in here. I'm going to open up this template that we were using in yesterday's workshop because this will be the new version of the Jumpstart Lite because there's a lot of things I fixed in here. So this will be the new version. So Studio. So there's this named expression, okay? And this is what it is. And it's going to tell you if you're in studio mode or not. And I think I actually have more information in here. It will help you determine if you're in studio mode. What's studio mode? Studio mode is the mode where you're editing Power Apps in Power Apps Studio. Okay, so I give credit to Matthew Devaney on this. He had a LinkedIn post about it, so I linked that there. I'll put that out here as well. All right. Provide that link. You know what I do? What I'll do is I'll give up like the description as long as it's short. Are we in studio mode? And this is the link to that. So I'll put that right there. And let me see if I can put that there. Okay, very good. So it uses the host object, and if it starts with Power App Studio, you know that you're in the studio. Okay, I'm gonna close that down. I'm gonna go over here, and as you can see, we already have it. So that's one of them. Now, something I put here in the Jumpstart Kit Lite is I put my email addresses in here so that if you look over, I think I'm pretty sure I have some on-air code here. And so there's the developer emails. And that is something that I would encourage everybody to use. What are the email addresses of all the developers, all, the owner and the co-owners of this app? And if we're in studio mode and the email address is Darren's email address, which is down here. Now that's not really my email address. Okay, so I'll support@superpowerlabs.co or Darren. Now this goes to all my staff so that your request for help doesn't, I get hundreds of emails a day. So I've got some staff that will remind me like, hey, have you responded to this person? So let me put this in here. Now, commonly used function, I think somebody said in reference to a template. Oh, okay, cool. I see good stuff there. And I think perhaps my video stopped. So I'm gonna hide myself just for a moment and perhaps let my video camera have a small break, and it's still like that. Guys, if I ever get rich, I'm going to hire more staff to help me with the live streams. All right, I'm gonna turn all that off for now because it's not working here. Okay, you guys don't need to see me anyway, right? All right, are we in studio mode? And then named expression or FX developer emails. I would do something like that. And that would, if any emails need to go out occasions for errors, bugs, or feedback. That would be something that would be useful in a template. Like any app, you might want to get their feedback on the app, you know. So we'll have that there. And whenever I make lists, like I always want things to be consistent. I'm gonna at least include that there. Okay. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go back to app formulas. And okay, so I'm getting some great feedback in the chat. I want to capture that. So Dustin says, I definitely need more practice around with the with function. The with function is so important. I think what, like, I'll take care of the like the things that we want to add, but commonly used functions for coding. We'll say we're going to do a deep dive on the with function. It is so useful. And if you look at some of my code, I use it almost everywhere. Almost. And I'm going to go try to find an example. I think I was adding functions yesterday that, look at that. I used an imperative function right there. So this was a checklist inspection app. So we had stuff in here like, hey, what are the answer types? You know, it might be a yes, no, checkbox or toggle, but it might be a single line of text, multiple lines of text, date, time. So we'd have to use date, time, picker, control. Whole numbers, decimals, Boolean. And you guys know me, I don't like choice columns, but this isn't a choice column in the database. It's a choice that we're presenting to the user. And then for each of these, I want to say control type. So like for a Boolean, I'd probably say checkbox. And you always need a comma like there. But I'll add those later. But as you can see right here, say whenever the user answers a question, I use this function and we pass in the question ID and the answer text value. And it holds it into a collection. Because now I'm going to change the screen up a lot to actually put all, I mean, there's only one answer. What is your manager's email address? Boom, right there. But if I answer it and I go back to the first question, like it might be lost, right? So what I did here was on the change event. Look at that. Question answered. And those are those two values. And if we go over to the item, which is what role are you serving as? Let me hit Alt. So it thinks I'm still in run mode, even though there we go. And then the on change, boom, question answered. All right, so I'm going to go back. The with function, I definitely need more practice with the function, and also and setting up user roles. Oh, okay. Absolutely. So I'm going to say common scenarios to implement security roles there. Okay. And then Kenneth says mixing functions. I'm going to put that right here as nested
Yeah, exactly.
functions or using them in a combination. Okay. Pretty good. And then, okay, everything's looking good on the, I'm up to date on the chat here. But what else? Keep the ideas coming. All right, so we find out for studio mode. Now, what about this? The color enumeration. I provide coding here to turn this into a collection, not just an enumerated value. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to show you the power that it gives you. What is on screen one? Anything? Yeah, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to duplicate this. Now, let's think of a scenario where you want the user to pick a color. Are they going to know the exact color name? Are they going to know the exact hexadecimal? You're probably going to have to create like or use a component that somebody else has done. Or you can just use the code that I'm about to implement right here. So here's a Wikipedia link that shows all the web colors. And if I'm not mistaken, there are 140 of them. And because that is what PowerFX provides. So I do know that Alice Blue is in there and it's first. But I mean, out of 140 different named colors, that probably covers a lot of them. Or at least they can pick the one they like the most. And based on their selection, we could also generate, like, let's say they said Alice Blue, and we generate this hexadecimal code for them, and they're like, oh, I found a different Alice Blue out on the internet, and it's slightly different. We could allow them to put something else in there. Now, I don't know if I talked about this at all. This is a voice recorder, and I'm going to back out of it and then close this tab. The reason why I have it up is because I just uploaded it as a free download. I'm going to go up one level. And down in here, links you're looking for. Okay, so there is the free WAP community. Here are the free downloads. So that's up there now. I thought I had a screen. I'll add that later. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that, which looks like I already did, and I don't need to see that. All right, I'm going to call this the color selection screen. And what I want to do is probably get rid of this right pane because I just want a gallery to take up most of the room here. Okay, I need to go in here. This is how you do responsive design. You've got hundreds of containers all over the place. All right, I am going to delete that. And the screen just went away. So I'm going to click off the screen and come back. Hopefully it's there, and it is. Now, if we wanted to display a color, well, let's go into items here. If you didn't have this function that I created, or maybe you have a similar one that you created, but we have an enumeration, and there's 140. Okay, so there's a color, and then antique white, and then you could do color aqua. So I'll just do 3 here, and then I'm going to say this item, and let's see what we can get at value. Now that's a color. How can we display it in a label? JSON. Look at that. So something I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the font right here. And say Courier New. See, we have an enumerated value for fonts too. There's all kinds of enumerated values that I think would be really good as a collection instead of an enumerated value. So in this text, this is what I typically do here is, I think I actually have a function. Let's go in here and say color. Of course, there's a function here called color value. Hex. We got 12. Okay. Get. Okay. If you look at these colors here, the first part, and I need to take away the icon inside of this. And I think I'm going to make it invisible. So now I can select things. Okay. So the first 2 hexadecimal characters here is 0 to 255, 255 being FF. So above 10, you got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Or you got, 16 above. So that's why it's called hexadecimal. So here R is for red, G is for green, B is for blue, RGB. Sometimes you'll see RGBA. Well, that's actually a function within PowerFX. And so this last part is how transparent or how opaque do you want it to be? So if you put this down to 0, 0, it's going to be completely transparent. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this item.value, and I'm going to say fx hex. It says get hex from color. Now, question is, does this look nicer? And I think it does. Now, what else can we do here? We could add a rectangle. Put that in there. And set this up as this item.value. And then perhaps make it bigger. Probably put a little bit of a border there, because we don't want to confuse what's here and what's there, even though they look really similar. Okay. Now, can you imagine entering in all the 137 items there? What I'm going to do is go over to @formulas, and I'm going to paste over the code that I had. I don't see it there, so I'm going to go over here, hit that copy, and I'll get rid of that. So by the way, this is an SVG. This is sort of like a cool thing that you could put on a, on a screen. But okay, I'm gonna paste. There we go. There are all 140. Now there's one color that is quite magical that they did not include. And that, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add it in. Let's add it at the beginning. Color dot transparent is one of my favorite colors. Now, what's the hexadecimal for that? All zeros. Okay. All right. So if we're going to use our collection, web colors, as the data source. Whoa. Okay. Now, in this case, we don't even have to call the function to go get the hex from color, because if you go now into this item, you'll find that we have all kinds of cool stuff to pull from. If you wanted to do an RGBA, you could pull from the alpha, blue, green, and red. What about the tags? What about the hex code? There it is. All right, I'm going to move that down a little bit. And what I think might be best is if we add in, let's set this up to be a little taller, twice as tall. And I'm going to take that out. And what I'm going to put in here would be what happened there? Okay. A label would be perfect for this. A classic one. And you know what? That should be what I want is a place to put text and have a background color, and I think I can do that with the modern one. I'm going to copy and paste this one. And I'll make this a bit longer. All right. Kenneth says, Darren, also simple stuff like when to use Okay, this is good stuff. Thank you, Kenneth. Let me put that over here. When to use this or that. All right, so you've got in here when to use commas. Did I spell it right? Hopefully I did. What about semicolons? Okay, so what you have here are curly braces. Curly braces. And I think what I'm going to do is put 2 ticks in there for this type of stuff. That did not give me what I wanted. Okay. Okay, so that's a way to do code, I guess. Okay, that was strange. All right, you also have square brackets. Ooh, okay. There we go. I can get rid of that one. Very good. And we also have parentheses. Oh, I already have it. Okay. There. And Is that the correct way? I'll do a Google search on it. Make sure. Yeah. Well, it has no. That's not right. There we go. We'll unbold that. Oh, okay. There we go. And I think I just heard something. A new cedar. Okay. Very good. Okay, Kenneth, you raised your hand. What you got, man?
I was also thinking about the concept of delegation.
Mm.
How it affects different types of data. And how we can filter on numbers and text columns and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know you have some cool tricks to sort of circumvent the delegation issues.
Yeah. I'm going to say how to handle delegation nightmares. Does any,
Exactly. Yeah.
does anybody lie awake at night and worry about their SharePoint list if your app is still gonna work after you go past the 2,000 limit? That's an excellent suggestion. So thank you for that. Um, so I'm gonna go in here and make sure we've got. Okay, so you had okay, parentheses and all that. Okay, now in some countries, instead of using a comma to separate your parameters, you got to use a semicolon. And I'm hoping I can put some in here. Doesn't look like I'll be able to. So I'll copy that. And that looks like that. And perhaps I could go get a listing of all the countries that it does that with. But um, even if I'm going to put the United States in here, or say for the majority, and I don't even know if this is going to be the majority. I'll have to research it. Why use semicolons? Okay, but the same could be said for a regular colon. So these are all excellent things to go over, because if we just go look at this, go over to the app formulas. You guys may not. Now, this is definitely something important in coding in general. You have it in almost every language, if not all of them, is a way to do code comments. And yeah, I think I will. Probably most people already understand what they're used for, but perhaps it bears repeating or actually covering. Or that. And I don't need commas or parentheses in there. And these are. Now, if it goes this direction, I think it's called a slash. If it goes the other way, it's a backslash. But if anybody knows for sure that I'm wrong, please correct me. Then we have a back slash, which I believe is that. And in a lot of languages, that's actually used as a what do you call it? An escape sequence. Now, what is an escape sequence? So if I wanted, let's say I had a label here, copy and paste that label, and I want some text in here to be displayed. And what I really want is two double quotes. How would you do that? In other languages, you'd have to do that. That does not work here. Here you double up on the character, okay? So curly braces, let me see if I do a curly brace if it shows. It does. But if you use string interpolation, that's a no-no because the curly braces is a way to actually put in PowerFX code. So that, I think, is going to be really important as well. So perhaps I'll say escape sequence. And now, otherwise, other languages, it might be. Because if it's Visual Basic, you would double up like we do in PowerFX. All right, so I don't need that. But in PowerFX, double up on that. And I'm going to say here the curly braces. I'm going to say string interpolation. Hopefully I have the spelling right. And that is a very useful thing. String interpolation. Let me see if I can get a good string interpolation. Here we go. All right. Now I'm going to take that because I'm using a reference of like how you have to change curly braces if you're doing string interpolation. And I would imagine you guys would want to know more about that and see it in use and everything. There are some things that I do. I actually did it this week, and one of my accelerator students says, that thing that you just showed, that should be a video. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Which is I import CSV data from a text input control. And I will write code. If you just paste something in there, I can loop through it and get all the data and create a collection out of it.
Darren, now that we're talking about importing CSV and stuff like that, could we go over the concat function or a formula or something? Because that is really giving me nightmares.
Okay, absolutely. So you said concat, and there is a related function called concatenate, but it's definitely concat that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think it's both of them actually. I don't know really what the difference between them are.
I use concatenate. Um, okay, the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to show you an example of how I do this. I'm going to go into controls down here. At the very bottom is the text input. You want a little code editor, copy that. And I'm going to add a new screen here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste that code. Boom. And I'll typically change the color of the screen there to make it look a little better. And I'm going to take this out. And so Darren, oh, you know what? I'll say, let's use user dot full name. I'll say user function dot email. Okay. And I'm going to make this a little bigger here, probably a lot bigger. And make it bold. There we go. So we just concatenated or spliced two strings together. So that's example one. And there's a function called concatenate. And I use this to make my code look nicer and cleaner. And you notice what I did here with that dash. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Now, instead of using ampersands, we'll just divide them by commas. And for me, that looks much cleaner than doing. And if you've got a big long expression with all these the splicing and everything, it gets a little crazy. So that does the same thing. Okay. Now something else I'm going to do here. I'm going to show you several examples. So one will be that. I'll say two will be that. I'm going to have to create these as comments, of course. And there's another way of if you, now we just mentioned it a few moments ago. It's called string interpolation. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, somebody email me. Please don't correct me in the chat. Just send me an email. And no, you can tell me in the chat. It's fine. All right. String interpolation is a string that you start with a $sign. And what you're able to do, use curly braces to actually put in some PowerFX code. But you don't need any of these ampersands or double quotes and all that type of stuff. And then I'm going to put a curly brace around these. And then I'm going to end that with a double quote. So you see there's a dash here. And it pretty much gave us the same thing. Now, I don't think I had a space in there. So let's make all these outputs to be the same. All right. So that's a string interpolation. Now I'm going to find out if that interpolation, that is how it's spelled. Okay. String splicing with an ampersand. And this one will be three.
How do you make those little icons there?
Do you use the Windows operating system?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so hold down the Windows key on your keyboard, and that's between the Control and the Alt key, and then a period. And I'm going to go find.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So over here, standard PowerFX functions, specifically, boom. Okay, so if I click on this link, they are sort of grouped together here within this documentation. And yeah, this is what I'm familiar with, and that's how I use it. So you've got a bunch of things that you need concatenated, a mix of individual strings or a single column table. Okay, well, that's interesting. So if you have a single column table, that's going to work as well with the concatenate. When I have a table, a collection, I always use concat. Now I might start using concatenate if it's a single column. Most of the collections I work with, they do have more than one column. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to copy the YAML. I'm going to move this up, and I am going to paste the YAML, and I am going to do something like this. Very good. Well, I know that I already have a great collection to use here as an example. So let's do that. We have FX colors now. Now, is that a single column collection? It is not. But I use, or perhaps misuse, another function called distinct. Now, distinct is meant to give you distinct values for one column. So what I'm going to do is say hex complementary hex. There's the hex code. Okay. So distinct will take a collection, and then based on the column that you give it, it should give us a table. There's an error in the formula. Okay. Well, if I were to take this and go over, I'm going to duplicate that calendar screen. The calendar screen that has no calendar on it. Yeah, so boom. Wow, the gallery sort of quit on me here. Let me see. Huh. All right. The width and the height. All right. Okay, for the height, I'm going to have to subtract self.y. There we go. Another thing is perhaps learning how to position or adjust controls dynamically.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah, width, height, X. Now, Kenneth, you're an accelerator student. are you aware? I've got something really cool out here. I think since you said that, I think that you might be really interested in this. So on Kurt's Lab 2, he was doing a bouncing ball animation, and I recognize that some students were sort of struggling with this lab, um, just understanding X and Y, centering, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, this is his.
Are you ready to have some fun with some animation?
All right, I'm going to pause him, go full screen, and I'm hoping that he has it working there at the end. Yeah, he's got two bouncing balls. So that was a cool thing about his lab too. But there's some people that were a little lost. So there's a 4-minute video here that talks about getting to the X and the Y.
Guys, let's talk about time.
And I show the screen width, screen height, container width. So this is a container here. And that was just the first video.
Now, what if you'd like to...
I talk about, well, maybe I should unmute myself.
Is one of... Now, what if you'd like to center a control within its container? Well,
so I also have a function out there that will get you centered dimensions, by the way. But before I add that to our list of things, I'm hoping that this comes up. There we go.
Right, so consider the controls that are on this screen now. So what I've done is I've created a container here with a bunch of labels showing this, because you'll want to dynamically...
So I've got sliders that will move this container around. Okay. So in Kurt's lab, we had an image that we needed to move around. And then there needed to be some collision detection.
Hi guys, take a look at this screen here. We've taken it one step further. What I've added to...
I think I
now
mute myself on that. And whenever this container hit one of these labels, or I think they're labels, they might be containers. I'm trying to show what happens. But anyway, we could cover all this stuff in there as well, if need be. I'm going to move that up. There we go. And while I don't forget about it, hopefully, center self. Get yourself centered. Get centered dimension. So this will work for both the X and the Y. And it's a very simple function. You pass the function whatever dimension. So if you're looking at, the parent dimension, that would be the width if you're trying to get the X value for self. And then you would pass in the height values if you're looking to get at the Y. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go over to App, Formulas. So I'm going to have this in the free Jumpstart Kit Lite here. So you could do this. And I'm going to show you how it's used on a new screen very quickly here. And let's use a container where we can set this up having a color and also something like that. Okay. Now, in order to center this, we don't want to make it any wider or any taller. We just want to center it. So that is controlled by the X and the Y. Do you guys remember algebra class where you had the X-axis that was horizontal, and then you had the Y-axis, which was vertical? That's exactly why these are called X and Y. So let's go in the X. That will center it horizontally. So I'm going to call this function, as you see, parent dimension. What's the parent? Okay. We got the parent, which is the screen, and we're doing this horizontally. So let's look at the width, and we also want to pass in self.width. Okay, there we go. Now, do you realize there's nothing specific to this control? I didn't say container3.width. I use self. You always want to use self if you're inside writing code that is in one of the properties, for a control. It's referencing itself. So you could actually copy and paste this code. I should have provided it in here. Okay. And let me go find that center self. You could simply copy, paste this for, I'm trying to get rid of the autocomplete, the AI stuff. Okay. And then what I'll do here, do you guys know you could put emojis in code? Sometimes I'll use something like that for the, okay, so this is for the X value for, not the width. Okay. For the Y. So what you'd be looking at is the height. There we go. So I'm going to add that to it. And that's going to be all out there. I should be able to just refresh this and get that. Because this is actually useful to have. And every new control, you could paste that in there. Now I'm going to create a code generator. And one of the code generator, the functions of the code generator is to create all the YAML that you could paste anywhere for any control. And there'll be a checkbox say, hey, do you want this centered within its parent? And it would actually use that. And look at this. There's even an emoji for something like that. So I'm going to have to comment it in there. Okay. So that's something that comes in handy. And I should probably put it in here. Let me go grab the function here, the function name. Fantastic. All right. Now, we were about to do something very fun and exciting. And I think it was over on the color selection screen. No, we had two text boxes. Okay, there we go. This is what I wanted to do. And what I was wanting to see is if we use distinct, and I'm going to go over here to the calendar screen. And for its data source, I'm going to give it that. Okay, if I select all, well, it's right here. Boom. Value. So we have a table of hex codes. So that is a single column table. And when I go over here, what does the red squiggly say? Well, concatenate should give, it does return. So that's weird. If we go over to this guy right here, or a single column table, oh, they have to be strings. Now, in my example, they are strings. So I'm a little confused about that. In fact, if we go over, the hex code is a string. So I'm a little skeptical of this now. Now, what happens if we were to actually have something that's actually a single column? Okay. Now, I would create a collection like this, FX, yes, no, maybe. Curly braces will give you or denotes a collection. And I'm going to do exactly what it says. And we could use this thing in many drop downs, and we don't perhaps want anything in the first item because we actually want them to select something. So we'll say yes, no, maybe. And I also like to include a non-applicable. All right, so let's see if this concatenate function comes through for us. Now, I still stand by what I said. Distinct does give you a single column table. Well, look at that. What is the deal? Now, I know expected text value, and it is a collection. In fact, if I dropped over a drop-down control here, okay, that didn't give me what I wanted. Yes, no, maybe. And you open this up, boom, value. Okay, so if I were to save and run, hit this, yes, no, maybe NA. So if you guys find a way to use concatenate other than the way I used it here, if you find out how to use it with a single column table, let me know. But I'm not seeing that. All right, so another thing I want to do is actually show concat. So this is great. So we'll use the web colors. So you're going to give it a collection or table value. And then you're going to put whatever you want down here to be displayed for each item in there. So I know that there is a hex code. There we go. So it concatenates them all together. Now I want to get at that drop down. Maybe put it up here. Okay. But probably what you want to do in a case like this, you might want to put a semicolon, maybe even a space in there. That looks much better, right? Now let's say you wanted this to be a single column, because right now we got 4 columns and it's based on how much space is there. For example, if I change this to like 28, see, we can fit more there. Now, something else that you can do, char 10 is a line feed, or like hitting the enter key on your keyboard. These guys around a little bit. Okay, so you could do that. Now, Kenneth, do you have any questions about concat or concatenate? Anything that I can answer here now?
Well, let's say that I have a notification
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to get that to get some text into a notification, for instance, if it was like a bunch of duplicate values or something like that. Would you use concatenate to pull that text out and put it into a notification? Then I suppose, right?
Yeah, I would use it in if what I'm trying to do is splice a bunch of strings together, I would use one of these three. And then if I had a collection or table value, I would definitely use this for anything, including using the notify. So let's use that as an example here. Whenever we click on this button, we're going to say notify. And I'm going to put something there, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to dent that over. Now, instead of having 140 values in the notify, what I'm going to do is say, here's another function. If you guys haven't used this, we could say the first. Now, if we use the first function, it'll only give us the very first one. But if you want the first so many, the n represents how many of those items that you want. So I only want the first 10. Okay. And I'm going to say, I'm going to use string interpolation here. Do you like these colors? User full name. And I'm going to try to do a carriage return here and see how the notify handles it. I don't think it does a true line break. Now, there's another character in here. 10 works the best, so I always use 10. But there's also a 13. So let me do this here. This comes back
Darren,
from, yes.
why did you do the curly braces on user and full name? Is that because you want a record or what?
So let's go take a look at this first text box here. So this is string interpolation. And you have to put I'm so glad you asked that, because I need to make sure. Okay, I do have it. Okay. If you have the $sign, you can inject your own PowerFX code into that string.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Isn't that cool? So
yeah, that's so cool.
So on the 13, that is called a carriage return. And this is called a line feed. And it comes from when I was in 5th grade, I took a typing course, and I'm glad I did, because I needed to type later on. I didn't actually have a computer until I was like 23 years old. Okay, so I need to make sure I've got that comma there. All right. Yeah. Now I could put curly braces around that, not do the ampersands, but you can mix it up, like this. And now, why am I using a comma there? Because I know why. I need that. And if I take out the comma, I need it. Okay. Well, I don't want it to think that it was like, if you use a comma on notify, you got notification type, and I'm going to say success, which will be green. And I think there are, oh, the timeout, let's make it 10 seconds. So these are in milliseconds. And you know what? This char and 13 would probably be good to actually be included in this stuff. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a section here. We need to cover it very deeply, which is string manipulation. But you'll need to learn left, right, mid, trim. What other things do we have out here? I would say concatenate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy those two guys there, and all right, I'm going to delete. There we go. And what I'm going to do is look here. Now this is from a Matthew Devaney blog post. That's awesome. And what I'm going to do, standard PowerFX functions. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete that. And that is directly from and what I'll do here is I'll paste that there. Very good. So text functions. Char is very useful. Concatenate, copy. Yeah. Find. Oh, definitely find. That's going to be, should definitely be in there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to indent that over. And then for this, Microsoft's documentation on functions. Paste it there, and now we don't need all this. Okay. Yeah, find. Now, I would say I would definitely agree with them. You know, the copy takes text value, you know, a text function. But if we're not talking about just text functions. We're talking about string manipulation. Oh, length is very important. I use that all the time, especially with trim. Strips out spaces at the end, and if I'm not mistaken, it will take out the doubling of spaces inside a string. I think I read that somewhere. And let's go look at this. So let's go look at trim. Yeah. Okay, so we got trim, we got trim ends. Okay, that's probably, I'm thinking that this is true. Removes extra spaces from a string of text. except for single spaces. Yeah, there you go. So if you want it just to get the beginning and ending spaces out of there, there we go. But what I wanted to do, let's see, trim ends. I wonder when they included that. I don't remember that being in there before, but maybe I just didn't. I wanted both of these in here. Okay. What about, let's say, casing? So we have upper, makes all the characters in uppercase. I use that a lot, especially for column headers, for galleries. I use lower most of the time on email addresses. People like to capitalize things, and I don't know, it bothers me. So it's I always do a lower. And then we have proper. Have you ever had people type their names all in lowercase or all uppercase? Well, proper will turn that into um, now the problem comes is if you use it in your application, think about if, I'm not saying I am, but if I was a doctor, I think PhD, I don't know, it's got a weird spelling, but doctors, dentists, um, or this might be, oh, I know. If I said MVP in all uppercase, which you should if it's an acronym, right? The proper casing, of course, would be that. And that upsets people. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's go back to his list here. Ooh, yeah, parse JSON. That's good. Proper replace. Replaces part of a string with another string. That's funny because I use substitute for that. Replaces a part of a string with another string by matching strings. Okay. Split is an excellent one. Yeah, a lot of these are fantastic. Now, this is really cool because I'm going to try that out. Let me show you why that's so interesting. I'm gonna paste it there. And I've got emojis over here. And I've got them all. You see how much I love you guys? Look at all this cool stuff. All right. And I thought it would be good to have them in JSON. Now, this might take, I hope it doesn't like crash my computer or anything. There we go. All right, so I have a collection here of tags. Okay. Now this is quite literally, it is real JSON, not PowerFX JSON. PowerFX JSON would, field names would not be enclosed by double quotes here. And that is the funniest looking column name that I've ever seen. So this, I need to restructure that so we could just copy and paste it in there. And here are a bunch of things. Let's look at, let's take a look at some of these. Yeah, so this is what I pasted for the JSON. And I love that somebody provided that. That was great. And then what's great about GitHub, okay, that was it. But if you click on raw, you get that. Okay. People that post stuff out in GitHub is generally, I mean, if you go to emoji lib, let's look at the license. If it says MIT, you could pretty much do whatever you want. To deal in the software without restriction, including limitation of rights, use, copy, blah, blah, blah. And I believe I release all my stuff under MIT. It's a very simple license. Okay. The above copyright notice in this permission notice shall be included in all copies. So that right there, that's pretty much the only restriction. Oh, here we go. Look at all that. And the reason why I'm talking about this with that function is the functions are actually Unicode. So if I go in an emoji list, yeah, what's this number? Now that might just be an anchor. Yeah, it's an anchor. So,
Darren.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When you press the Windows and dot key, I see you get some numbers, some of the blue numbers. Is that how do you get those?
Okay, so whenever you use this, let me drop over a label here. It's pretty much the same way that you get to any others, but the trick is to always search. Okay, so look at that. I type in 1, I get 1 o'clock, 1:30. I don't know why I get 12 o'clock there for 1. I guess 1 is in 12. But yeah, there's the 1 right there. And perhaps the best way, I just say number. Oh, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I use this if I'm trying to say code. So that works for you, right? Just doing that little search.
Yeah.
And
yes, but I don't get the number one option though.
Really? What country are you in?
I'm in Denmark.
Denmark. And you guys have numbers there, right? I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding, guys.
We use kgs instead of pounds.
Use what instead of pounds?
We use kilograms instead of the pound system also, you know.
Okay, so you guys don't use freedom units or like miles and inches and feet.
No, not really.
Those are referred to as freedom units over here. Now, I was talking to one of my accelerator students that came and saw me here recently in Orlando, and he's from Canada. And he goes, "Why do you use?" I'm like, "No, those are freedom units." I admitted to him that, United States needs to just decide, let's say by 2030, and everybody has to move over to the metric system because it makes more sense. So I want you guys to realize that you can have these things. This is a label. Now, a modern label does not have an on select, but in classic, they're called, what was it, text label? Let's go over. So you could almost use labels as buttons here. Okay, so I'm going to make this large. I need that around it. And then I'm going to say 100. Boom. So if you want to use an emoji as a button, you have it on select. All right. I get sidetracked so easily. I'm trying to think what were we doing before? This is fun. I'm having a fun time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this as well. But yeah.
I think you wrapped up the concatenate
Yeah.
aspect.
Okay, I'm gonna catch up on Max says I always worry about if everybody has the correct access. You know what? As far as in talking about PowerFX, I mean, these are standard functions. But let's talk about looping. So we do have for all, and we do have timers. And I think there's another way. I think these are the two ways that you can do looping. And of course you have, it's called branching. Sometimes looping also iteration. Branching, also called conditional, you can say execution, conditional branching. So you have the if function, you have the switch function, and I think that's it. Okay. So of course the timer, I should say this, the timer control for all function. What about moving around quickly within code? So,
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah. Master your keyboard like coders do. And I don't know why I'm... Okay. So, these are all the things that I know of that allow me to work very quickly, move around, and all right. So you need to understand the home key. You need to understand the end key. Now, usually that's above the arrow keys on your keyboard, but people have some wild keyboards these days, and you may not have those. So I would recommend you get a standard keyboard if they omit keys like this. And we also have page up key, page down key. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use all these. Arrow keys are very important. Up, down, left, and right. There's emojis for those. Plus control. Now, is that the abbreviation for control, or should I have an L in there? So there's control. Also, the shift key is very important. Okay, so hold down to select multiple items. And the shift sort of does the same thing, but traditionally for decades you would hold it down. You would select the first in the series of items. For example, go to Windows Explorer where you've got a bunch of files in there. You could select the first one in the series of items that you want to select. Now, let's say there's 1,000 files in there and you want to select 100 items. If you use the control, you would have to hold that down and click 100 times. Now, you can lasso things within Windows Explorer, okay? Just like you can lasso controls here, right? So that's there. And I might actually mention that. Lasso, and you do that using the mouse. And the mouse, keep this in mind, there are actually events that happen in Windows. So you have a mouse down event, you have a drag event, and you have a mouse up event, and you have a click event. And I can show you an example of this to show you that I'm not crazy. Okay, so Mark has a concatenate function. That's hilarious. But you have to use the concat function. That's interesting. And then Christopher says, I've recently done a bit with user-defined types, really powerful with user-defined functions. Oh, absolutely. I can show you some stuff that I did just this week that was it was a little complicated, but it was all done in app formulas. And the only way I could have done it was with the user-defined types. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So yeah, you can define a type. Now you've got to have this colon equals, and you name off like your fields, and then you tell it what type it is. And then if you look at, an address, text all the way through, but I could create a person type and say, oh yeah, first name, last name, date of birth. But then you could also use another type. So yeah, it is very powerful. Make it, oh, Kenneth, you put one in here. Now there are aspects to coding. Now you just brought one up. I'm gonna do a search here real quick on, and I have it somewhere else in Workflowy. And I'm gonna search here for there we go. Vital aspects to keep in mind when doing a software project: accessibility, cost efficiency, extensibility. So right here, maintainability, I am going to say how to structure code and make it readable for other developers. That you just described what maintainability is, or a big aspect of it, And I also think about other developers. You know what I define other developers as? Me, sometime in the future, after I've slept. I'll say 6 months. Sometimes it's like last week. I'm like, what was I doing here? And the big thing here is, easy to modify, debug, and update. And put in your code comments. Yeah, absolutely. And I like these to-dos. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do here, because we might need to talk about this in the coding course. Link to mirror. And I'm going to mirror this. Okay. Here we go. And now we have this whole thing. I think I need to make a copy of it. So what I will do, I think I have something in here. Darren's notes. And I actually started an outline with Kurt before. Yeah, look at all this stuff. So I'm going to be, we're going to have all this stuff in here. You'll be exposed to the basics of traditional software coding, how it relates and is similar or different from PowerFX. So what I wanted to do was C# may be a great language. I'll say great comparison languages. I would say C#, but also TypeScript. And what is TypeScript? It's actually JavaScript done right. I absolutely abhor JavaScript. It's just so loosey-goosey, and they don't have types. So Microsoft created TypeScript. All right, so check this out. What about, boom, here it is. TypeScriptLang.org. So if you want to know more about it, okay, I'm going to go down here and paste that there. What will not be covered? UI, UX. Do you guys know, I was thinking about this the other day. You can Canvas Power Apps can be broken down into just 3 areas. You've got the UI of Power Apps. Okay, so that would include Power Apps Studio, you know. Also, the screens you create, the controls you add to screens. What about components? You use from others or create. Components you create yourself. And then you've got PowerFX. What's last? Data. So to master Canvas Power Apps, these are the 3 areas. So PowerFX In fact, I might try to make this. Maybe an H2. You know what I will do is I will make that the first. Okay. In data. Now, what do I mean by data? I mean quite a bit by data. I mean quite a bit by PowerFX and the UI as well. But data would include collections, data sources. But what about data types? So you have, well, yeah, built in basic types. Now, what are those types? Right here. When you create your own types, it allows you to, use these guys. Okay, so there's built-in types built into PowerFX, but there's additional types in components. All right. So if I go over here and I've got a component called comp, that's weird. You know what I created this for? No, I was thinking of something else. Let's go over to the tab menu. I'm going to create a new types. Data type, text, number, Boolean, date, time. Well, those four are from that other list. But what about screen? And you can create a record as a type when you use curly braces. You can create a table with square brackets or the table function. I always prefer the square brackets. One time I used the table function, and it did not. I wasn't able to use certain functions, so I always use square brackets now. An image type, video or audio, a color type, and a currency type. Now, why don't we have those here? Because I want to do some screen manipulation, SCREEN, and do all kinds of things, So I'm gonna get this. Hopefully this works, which is Snagit here, which lags my computer quite a bit for some reason. Okay, and I'm going to get these guys. And of course, let's see, there we go. That's what it was, panoramic. There we go. And I'm waiting for it to come up. And I'm going to fix something that it did. And I'm going to, okay, I'm going to look at this list here. And what we have, I'm going to highlight what we don't have in the other place. So we do have text, we do have number, we do have Boolean, and we do have date time. And we also have date and do we have time? I guess if, oh yeah, we do right there. And we do have color. But what we don't have is screen. We don't have image. I'm just making sure I don't see it there. And the image is a big deal. I use images all over the place. Okay. And I don't see a currency, but I mean, you could use just a number and achieve the same thing. All right. And let's see here. Now, is everything still working? Okay, that looks like everything's still working. That's good. And I am going to pause the preview there. Make sure I'm up on the comments here. Because how to structure code to make it readable. Here's a way. Okay, Christopher says I use it. Yeah, okay, so I'm up to date on that. I'm going to copy that. Paste it right there. So we don't get screen, image, video, or audio. Boom. Now, that's there. Now, in the basic types, included. So additional types, we get these things in components. And then over here, okay, not included in components. There we go. We don't have void over in components. We don't have untyped object. We don't have GUID. And we don't have hyperlink. We do have color. We do have time, date. Okay, so there's date, time, and date. And then over in the component types, we do not have time or date, only them combined. Okay, void, GUID, hyperlink. Okay, we do have color, time, date, and then Boolean. So those are highlight that. Boom. Included in, like, I guess we'll call them PowerFX types. Those are the ones that we use. Formulas for user defined types. Okay. So data, yeah, we got types. Now I'll just say I won't call them basic types because some of these types are complex, and and by complex I mean I would categorize basic types would be text, number, date time, and Boolean. That's what I would call basic types. And then I need to use an app formulas. There we go. And I probably want to put basic above this. So when I tell people don't use complex types in SharePoint, would include single line of text, multiple lines of text. I don't know why it's not showing the bullet points. Like maybe you have to have something in there for it to show the bullet point. Yeah. All right, I guess that makes sense. Complete. Then you've got, of course, Boolean. They're called checked or yes, no. And why is it showing this one? That's weird. Like if I have my cursor there, I don't know. And then date time. And we also have, oh, yeah, number. Those I would call the four basic types. Single line of text, multiple lines of text being the same thing, text. It's just a difference of, how many characters can be in there. And then I would make an exception, which would be calculated types. Like using the SharePoint formula. Okay. So data, you need to understand like single values. Now in coding, we call these single values. They're called scalar. Hopefully I pronounced that right. That's what I always call them. So I came across this word a lot when I would write a lot of stored procedures as opposed to a result set, which is like a table. Columns and rows. Even if it's one column or one row, a scalar is just a single value and has nothing to do with tables, records. It's like just a single value. All right, so we got the built-in types, and I'm gonna put that up here. Okay. And then we have collections. And I'll go ahead and put tables. They're almost the same thing. Data sources. What about JSON? Now, are there any other types of... So I would say color. I'm going to highlight that and highlight that because we're definitely going to cover data. I mean, why have code there if you're not going to move data around, right? Also, yeah, we got data types, but we also need to talk about what a type is in general. And you can imagine what's meant by that, but so types in general, and then we have user defined types. Now, what happens when you're trying to sort on something and it's a number, but it's inside of a string? Well, you're going to get some weird, unexpected results. It's going to sort things as strings and not by numeric values. Something I would say in here is delegation headaches or nightmares based on a mismatch of types in filters and lookups. Yeah, you definitely will have some delegation headaches. And yeah, if you have a GUID, okay, as we know, GUID is a type. And also we have a GUID function that would return this GUID type. But in the SharePoint list, they do have a GUID type, but I don't see, I don't believe it's available to us because I've tried. So you got to put it in a text type, a string type, and then when you compare that with a real GUID, let's say you have a real GUID over here in Power Apps because you use the GUID function. I'm looking for GUID. There we go. Yeah, it's a function. So that should be discussed there. So you can have like a real GUID type, and there's a GUID over in a SharePoint list, and what you have to work with is a single line of text. And just to show you, I'm going to show you guys something really interesting. And it is, I'm creating a SharePoint manager. And what I'm doing in here is allowing a user to create all their fields, all their lists with flows through a Power Apps application. And when I display all the columns, you know, I want a user to know what columns are currently there so they don't try to create duplicates. But SharePoint creates a lot of fields that you don't know about. And you're like, yeah, I know about ID. You know, I know it always creates title. I know it always creates created, created by, modified, modified by. But did you know is it in here? Did I put it in here? Yeah. Okay, well those are field types. There is now a photo type that was added. So now you don't have to store things as base64 strings. That's so awesome. And it's using like the thumbnail type from document libraries. FX SharePoint new list fields. Now, how many fields do we have here, guys? All right, so I'm going to do a search for GUID. Every SharePoint list has a GUID. What is its type? GUID. It's there, but you can't use it. So when I call a flow to go get all the fields, it gives me all kinds of stuff. And I sort of documented and created as a collection. Because if somebody's trying to create, you need to make sure that there's no overlap, with these. And some of these are duplicated. It's really odd, but let's look at, so there's a title, then there's an internal name. And an auto number is a counter, Okay, that one is there. But some of these look, there's all kinds of stuff. Now, how many fields is that? I'm going to go to screen 1 here. And what I want to do is get a nice, is that a gallery? It is. You know what? I'm just going to work right here on this screen. Or I'm going to duplicate the screen. And here I'm going to say Windows V. I guess I didn't grab it, did I? FX new list fields. Look at all those. Count rows. 42 font, but there are 82 types it creates for you. Isn't that crazy? Let me go with canvas size. Look at all that stuff. So these are SharePoint. Look, they have an emoji. What's the emoji type? What is that considered in here? Let me increase the font, maybe 24. There we go. And so there's title. What about type? Type display name. Okay, I'm going to have to turn that back down a little bit. You know what I can do is just set this up to be 100. And also change the font so it's a little more readable. Courier new. So if I go find emoji down here, it'd be nice if they were sorted. You know what I will do? I'm going to copy paste that. And then do this. So guys let me see. It seems like people are sticking around. I'm just worried about people being bored or me going too long. Okay, that's the type display name. Let's make this 106.
Darren, can you share the link where you write all the bullet points in, please?
Are you talking about in here?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you wanted all the SharePoint stuff?
No, the link, the one where you put down all the stuff to go through on the course on workflow.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that is okay, that's weird. It's not helping me out with that. I'm gonna go into there, and then we've got that right there. There we go. So the link to that, copy that, and I'm gonna paste that there. And also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to tinyurl, and I'm also gonna paste it over here in chat. So hopefully everybody sees that. And let's see, I'll sign in to okay, that doesn't seem to work. Let me go into this other browser profile. And come on. Gee whiz. It can't be reached. Really? Okay, I find that terribly strange. Now it's coming up. Okay. Guys, if you would just give me one moment, my wife is calling me. Need to make sure it's not an emergency. All right, and I'm back. All right, so I am going to create a URL here, and I'm calling it PowerFX, which I'm sure is already taken. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get you guys something that will really help you guys out. At least I think so. I need to store this file somewhere. Store right there. Okay. Good. I'm going to click on it. And I know what I'm going to do. This is going to be much easier. I'm getting you guys a QR code so you don't have to type in any URL to get here. There we go. Grab that. And where's my Snagit? There it is. There we go. There's that. And now create something else here. Maybe I don't need that. Okay, we're going to say, where is that? There it is. Okay. I need to say link to this these notes. And let's see, I need to get this other link here. So if I click on that, there we go. Yeah. Don't need that. And then that is, let me copy that. There we go. I can complicate a ham sandwich, as Kurt would say. I want that to be visible. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to so I can minimize this and you guys can still see it. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is say we are not going to be covering, I mean, we could talk about UI during the course, but it's not, we're not going to like focus on it, you know, because we're going to be using code to manipulate controls, you know, only if why is it bolded? Oh, it's a heading. Only if pertinent or related, which I think means the same thing. All right. Now, what else would you guys like to go over? Do you guys have any more ideas? And I need to I'm trying to bring up the window where I can see everything. Okay, yeah, Unicode. So Kenneth says, Darren, can you give me the Unicode for the number 1 you showed with the windows? And are you talking about the, you might be talking about the emojis, right?
Yeah, the number 1 emoji, the one you used.
Yeah. What I saw, and I sort of wanted to try it out, was this unichar. Because emojis are unichars. So, for example, close down TypeScript. Don't need that. Don't need that. Unicode. Now, there have been times where this specific page, my computer would freeze up. I need like another 64 gigs of memory or something. But, and as you can see, the code for them is that. Okay, so if I copy that, because, you know, the Windows dot is something that you would do at design time. Now, what if I were to go in here and used I'm going to close that down. I think it's freezing my stuff up right now. There we go. Table of Unicode characters to translate. Look at that. So if you use char, you can get at the, I think it's 255 different characters, and something I want to show you guys because it's really interesting and it is related. I'm going to pull something up and it's in a tenant. And I'm gonna put this out here as a free download for everybody to get at. If I can get there, let's see. And I think I might actually have it in code snippets, but I need to update it because in improved it quite a bit. So if we go down here and we look at formulas, I think it might be in galleries. Whoops, I went the wrong way. And we're going to go into controls. Let's go find gallery. I don't see gallery. So where am I? Oh, I need to click on controls. I thought I had gallery. Look at this. Now, this was inspired by Matt Devaney. He posted something out on Twitter about this, and then I took it, and he was wanting to see, like, he threw up all 255, and not all 255 have, you know, something that can be displayed. So you start at 33, you get all the punctuation, you get the numbers, you got uppercase characters, you got some more punctuation, then you have lowercase characters. So isn't that cool? So that's actually currently out there in snippets, but I'm going to show you guys one that's much better than that. And why would you want this? I don't know. If you wanted to go look up the ASCII code character right there inside the Power Apps, perhaps, you know. Okay, I'm going to do this before I forget it, which is quickly go over to WAP and upload this guy. Free downloads, configure files, and I'm going to upload that guy. Paste the path. Rename it. Whoops. Nope. (2025-02-15), and this is called the Checkerboard app. Nothing to do with checkers, though. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this app that I just uploaded there. So as of right now, this is the free WAP community. I just uploaded this guy. I uploaded these fresh and new. There's that recorder app, and then here's the Jumpstart Kit Lite. And okay, so how do you bring in these apps? So you go to apps over here on the left, you import the app, MS app file, and in all reality, it is a zip file. So just FYI on that. You could rename it from an MS app to a zip, and you could find out that you can actually unzip it. Now, you guys tell me if this looks better than the one I've got over here in snippets. And it's not a big app. I don't know. What do you think of that? Isn't that cool? I even did my own shadow in there, but I wanted rounded corners. Now, what is in here?
Did you put that in WAP, did you say?
Mm-hmm. I sure did.
Oh, great.
It's called the Checkerboard app. So I start off with 36, which starts with punctuation. Now, that's what I had over here. 33 is the exclamation point. So I took it a bit further, which is I just wanted 0 through 9 and I wanted A through Z, and that was it. So that's what I did there. So yeah, this is like the ordinal position, the index, and then we got the ASCII code character in there. But I would like to do this for all the emojis. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be very good.
So something that I could do, I could tell my buddy over here and say, I need a collection defined for Canvas Power Apps that lists out all emojis, Unicode codes, but also include the name of the emoji. And let's see what it comes up with here. And I'm also gonna bring this down. And yeah, it's gonna take a while. I think I've set it up to use DeepSeek, so it takes a while, but it gives me better results. So yeah, so it uses this code, but why I include it as an MS app file is I use shadow. So I created a constant called FX shadow offset. And I was using this. I actually created this block of code. And I did the color value, but I'm like, I want to do something a little bit better. Okay, so there's that. And it still has, it says it's finalizing the collection and prepare for presentation. So I don't know how many emojis are currently out there. It's like every year they come out with more. And I think I will use what is Gemini? It's AI Studio. And I say how many emojis exist with associated Unicode characters, and I'm hoping it'll just tell me. And Perplexity's still working on that. Oh my goodness gracious, guys. 3,664. And let's see if I get rid of my sidebar there. And I wonder if I could go to light mode. I don't like dark mode. But anyway. I'm going to take what I asked Perplexity. I need a collection defined. FX emojis. Two, three, four. Unicode code. And what was the Unicode right here? Boom. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Emoji. We just say name. Here's an example of what I'm looking for. Okay, and I'll do 3 backticks. Effects. And I probably also want to have emoji Come on. I don't know which one it is. Grinning face? Or I don't know. I'm going to click on one of them though. There we go. Can you guys give me any more ideas of fields that we would want in here? I guess we could start off with this. We could have tags like happy face, stuff like that. I want to include at least a third one, so it hopefully it gives me 3. And I'm also going to go over this is sort of it. So we got what, grinning face, and it has underscores. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to copy all this. How about that? And let's do paste there. Cut. Paste it there. And I believe that might be it. And I'm going to say this. I really don't like lowercase with underscores, but if that's really the thing, like maybe that's a part of the standard, as you have the underscores in the lowercase. But I'm going to put in here, is this where we use interesting. I think cut that, because I think we would actually use it here. What I'm going to do is I guess I'll leave that in there. But I need to make sure I got my commas in there if it's going to use this as an example. I need a collection define that lists out all. Hopefully it can help us out here. Now, I think that's where we would have to use. Okay. Correct Unicode. Okay, this is some interesting information right here. Okay. Well, that will be in the coding course and or my snippets or something. I'll make that available to you guys. Whatever it is we put in there. And I think, 3,600 items. We almost need to put that into a database. I'll probably put it out in. Let me see if I've got NoCodeDB installed. We did a workshop on NoCodeDB, and it's a Postgres server. And what it does for all my services that are hosted in Railway, I have them set up so that if it's not being used, for an hour or two, it just shuts down. But okay, I'm going to click on this again. It might need another moment really to come up, but I have a dedicated virtual server that's a Linux server, and I'll be installing NoCodeDB and all the other cool stuff that I use Railway for. All right, so also what I need to do, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Yeah, what's imperative versus declarative, all this stuff. There's a Power Platform command line interface. Are you guys familiar with that? Low code resources workshops, and this is done by Microsoft. So I wanted to check this out to see if this would be helpful in a course like that. Otherwise, I'd create my own. Foundational and coding concepts. Yeah, look, types. What about SharePoint types? What about Dataverse types? So SQL Server does have a GUID type. It's called unique identifier for GUIDs. All right, now let's see what Perplexity was able to help us out with here. Okay, so it used, yeah, it didn't create the 3,500 or whatever. And let's get the names, copy and format. Okay. So we'll get in all that. Now I'm going to go back to our, gotta find the window now. My restream window here. Okay. Now, let's see, I'm going to provide the links. I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to arrange things and stuff. And once we come up with a solid curriculum, then we'll set up the start date. So the most important thing to realize about this, guys, is now you can, well, let me try out this link here. Make sure it comes up with what. Okay, no, that's just to the workflowy notes. Okay. I thought I had a link in here. Okay, that's the workflow. I'm going to put that down there. And then let me go find the link I'm looking for. Okay. And I need to use there and go to my content on YouTube. And I'm going to go with the first one. I am going to add it there. Okay, that's been added. And for this one, it has been added to the playlist. That's very good. Okay, so we got those. I think number one. Okay, there we go. So this link right here is probably the most important thing. Significant. On all these modules, the whole course here. Paste that there. I'll paste it there. tinyurl.com, PowerFX course. Now I'm going to click on it. Now, if you're watching this video, you know, a month from now or sometime in the future, and, you know, it's 1,500 or 3,000, it might actually, I got so much stuff to cover. I mean, this could go on for a while. Because essentially I want to go over with you guys. I'm going to suggested content. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, these three areas. I'm pretty much going to cover everything that is associated with coding with PowerFX here. So yeah, that's quite a bit of stuff in there, as is with all three of these. But and we're covering some of this stuff as it relates. Okay, so if you know you're definitely interested, now's the time to get the early bird pricing. I remember when I did the ticketing system, I told people the same thing. You know, I think I was offering the ticketing system at $250 at the time, and I told people it will eventually go up to $1,000, and it did. And some people were upset because they perhaps they weren't around at the at the beginning or whatever. So I'm giving everybody ample time to get in all that. But besides that, the burning question in your mind is what video you should watch next here. And I would say you should probably check out these one of these first four. Now, if you take a look at, you just go to the channel. I'm going to bring that up real quick. And I'll make sure that you guys are aware of, I sort of want to do this in, I'm going to open this thing up and go to a private window. And this is just my channel. Okay. And playlists. Guys, I create these playlists for you guys so that, because I got so much content, and I probably should go through and delete some of these. But NoCodeDB, that was real exciting. I'm going to be using that quite a bit. And we can actually share data. So you could go out there and create an account on my hosted NoCodeDB, and you could contribute. You could use it as a data source for your Power Apps project. But here's the Power Apps Coding Mastery. This is where I created the Jumpstart Kit Lite. Here are the stock Power App templates remastered, and I think I have more videos than just 2. I need to update that. But one thing that was people were really interested was the checklist inspection app. So we've done 2 workshops.
Hold on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not used to ads on YouTube. Okay, I don't have my most recent one. I need to I think it's already uploaded in a WAP, but I just want to make sure you guys are aware of all those playlists and everything. I'm doing my best to make things as structured and as organized as possible. And this isn't just me sitting here yapping and going on and on about random things, you know. But I never knew that I could talk for hours about things, but obviously I can. So anyway, so I'm going to put those other guys in here, and we'll see you guys next time. Now, if you guys go with the links you're looking for, let me put this at the top and just talk about it for a second. So there's a free WAP community. Now we still have school out there, but we've almost got everything transitioned over to WAP. So we'll probably be shutting down school relatively soon. It's out there. And even when I shut it down, it will probably be still there as a read-only community. But we got all these free downloads included here. And that is, all of this. Yeah, this is, free. Free, bold. Okay. Now I have 3 offerings. We have the Insiders group. And let me mention something about that, because if you want to benefit from, there's a lot included here, to be honest. And I think I have a listing for it here. Now the link is going to be right there. Okay. And
I'm just trying to make things really simple.
I didn't want that. I'll copy this. And this was a visualization of the 3 offerings. So if you're ever wondering, and I'm revamping my website, so there's a lot of stuff that isn't up there yet, but here you can see all the offerings. So the Insiders membership, it's $97 a month. And then for when I first offered it, I offered a 50% discount, being locked in for the past Black Friday. But take a look at this for a second. Let's zoom in together here. For $97 a month, and there's no contract involved, you get access to all the Jumpstart kits and all the training that goes along with it. That's every Monday at 4 p.m. EST. We add on to our Jumpstart kits. And right now I'm trying to combine them, all the features from all of them, into one, and create small short videos for each feature I add. So that's in there. The practical labs and assignments that used to be only available to Accelerator students is now available here. You get access to all the workshops on Friday afternoons. Now, what type of things are out there in the workshops? Let me go to the right screen here. And we've been adding them to WAP. So some of the last few, you may not see them here, but they're over in WAP. But yeah, so we're up to 40, actually a 43, to be honest. Let me add a folder here. Checklist, inspection, app, part 2. And of course, it always adds things to the bottom. And this guy, number 1. Now, we did some really cool stuff in yesterday's workshop for this checklist inspection app. And, okay. But you can see themes, date functions, advanced components, because down here I've got one that I taught everything about creating components. Perhaps what I'll do for this coding in PowerFX, like I'll go find stuff that I've done in the past, like in these workshops. What about complex patching? You know, there's some really good nuggets and techniques that we went over in there. I mean, we do cover app formulas. Almost everything that's in there is going to be good stuff for a PowerFX coding course, you know. So I might include anything that's related here in the workshops and include it. So there's components, there's offline disconnected apps. And I mean, I've got a lot of material on the checklist inspection app, you know. So there's that. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. And as you can see here from this link, all the workshops are included. So it's just a bullet point here. And it says 4-hour weekly practical workshops on Fridays. But you get access to all the ones that we've done in the past. Now I used to call this PPC, or personal pocket coaching. What a weird phrase. That was a recommendation on marketing, and I never really liked it. I like bite-sized videos, and that is a work in progress, but you get full access to those and any future ones that I create. And what the idea here was there would be a video for every day of the year. Existing courses, and let me zoom out of there a little bit. So the ticketing system course, I have an extremely easy beginner level course that is in progress, but you can get some examples of it if you go out here, because I have the first few videos out here. 3 types, and I'm going to just click on Power Apps. Boom. There's a quick start. I'm going to share this link with you guys. Okay. And here we go. Free. Quick start. That's it. And the link for that, yeah, is all that, which is there. Okay, look at that. So if you go over to Power Platform links, I set up permalinks for most of these pages. But how basic is this stuff? Well, we're talking about like 2-minute videos, and this is just me recommending, if you're going to learn, start from blank. Okay. and I've got the steps written out. I can click on next. There's 3 types of Power Apps. So you got model driven, you got Power Apps Portals, which is has been rebranded as Power Pages, and I think I explained that in that video. And that was a 3-minute video. So you guys that watch my 3 and 4 hour live streams, you're awesome. But there are some people that would see the length of the video and not even click on it, you know. So I talk about save early, save often. So I mean, I go very slowly. So if you ever feel like some of my stuff is too advanced, or I talk too fast, or I am creating a series. Now, the whole series isn't going to be available out here, but I wanted to have like a quick start thing. So I use those videos for that. Workshops, the bite-sized videos, the crash course. Now, that used to be free on School, and but now it's going to be available here. If you sign up for the Insiders group, the Garage Work Order System, oh yeah, that's right. We do have a Power BI crash course and a Power Automate crash course. This one is a work in progress. This does come with an hour tutoring session, and I normally charge $250 an hour for my time. And we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So don't think that that's going to turn into a sales call or anything. But if you are serious minded, you definitely would want to take a look at the accelerator program. And so there's a lot of videos and content that aren't available otherwise, unless you are in the accelerator program. And Kenneth is actually in the accelerator, so he might tell you what he likes about it, what he's gotten out of it. But
yeah, I've been a part for almost a year now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I've built around 5 apps or something like that for the company that I work with at the moment.
I remember you and I met through I don't know if you reached out to me through Fiverr or some other means, and we met up and we were working on your app. And I remember as I was showing you how to do things, you would say like wowzers, or there were all kinds of words you were using.
Yeah.
You know, like how would you like
we
to,
had so much fun.
know, do this all the time, you know? So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Although the group calls, oh my goodness, we have hundreds of group calls. We go into the software development lifecycle process. But what is offered in the accelerator program is if you're looking for results, you know, like if you'd like to work with me, throughout the week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, you have the opportunity to meet with me on Monday and Fridays as well. On the Jumpstart Kit session and also the workshop sessions, but also you are welcome to come on as live streams, as Kenneth is live here with me on a live stream. So here are all the different group calls. So as you can see, you have 6 opportunities to interact with me here, and you also get your own M365 account and your own environment and your own Dataverse database, and you get your own SharePoint sites and whatever you need. And I also add in I turn all the options on so you can learn, because chances are if you have a a Power Apps license at your work, well, you've got a cybersecurity team that like locks things down, or maybe, your guys in IT, they just, they don't, they didn't turn anything on for you. There's all kinds of stuff that you'll see me see if I can actually share that, what that looks like. And while that's going, and also you get the insiders access included. So $97 a month, that comes out to 1,164. So boom, you save that right there. So how much is the accelerator? The accelerator is about the price that you would pay for a 5-day course. And there's in that, I mean, if you look that up, do a Google search on how much you'd pay for a 5-day instructor-led course. And there is a lower side and a higher side to that. And if you'd like to know more, book a call with me. And okay, look at this. So this is I'll make sure I don't get sidetracked on, I want to show you what the inside of a tenant looks like. And I'm going to go to show all. Yeah, this is the NoCodeDB. Let me see if it, I have to open up my other browser for my login and password. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this is the admin center. So your guys in IT are in here managing the tenant. And I like to go over to the Power Platform. And you actually might be able to get into the admin center. Now, you may not have permissions to do anything over there. But if you're in Power Apps, like I'm pulling up, and you click on the sprocket and you go to Admin Center, this is the Admin Center, that they can get to from here. And click on Manage. They've changed this recently, but yeah, there's the default tenant. Now, this is a new tenant that I'm working with. And if I go into this, did you guys see how I had this tenant set up? This sandbox Git. This is integrated with the new Git feature. You notice this, the release cycle early. So any new features come out, I'm going to see them. Are you going to see them at work? Probably not. Now, you could ask for a developer and ask him to set it up as early. So if you were to request a new tenant, what I wanted to show you, yeah, see, it's the same place. And I go into this one I was just talking about. Show you all the options that your IT department probably hasn't opened up for you. I mean, just look at the defaults. They probably wouldn't go out of their way to change up what the defaults are unless there's a reason to, or they've been trained to, or it's part of their policy. This would actually take me to all the apps or the sites or the flows, and settings, I think, is where we want to go. Look at all these settings. Okay, let's go into product. Okay, we have there's all kinds of stuff in here, guys. Behavior. Autosave. Yeah, I want that on. Share reassigned records with original owner. Open in application mode. Use updated experience for classic settings where possible. Show legacy app to everyone, not just admins. Okay. Look at this. Formatting. So with some organizations, they have the last name displayed, then the first name. And that, I'm fairly certain, is controlled in the admin center somewhere. And in your Power Apps applications, you're always having to parse out the last name and the first name to, for it to display properly. Like if you use the user function and you say full name, you know, it might be in the wrong order for your app, you know, so you could go in here and you might want the middle name in there, you know. There's all kinds of stuff. Show dashboard cards. There's all kinds of stuff. Pricing decimal precision. Legacy app name. I'd probably just put legacy in all caps or something. Delay between character inputs that will trigger a search. Lookup behavior. Minimum number of characters to trigger. Okay. Well, what else do we have in here? You have unsaved changes. Do you want to discard? Sure. You have collaboration. Okay, what about these features? This is a good one to go into. Do you want when on searches are supported in product areas, we'll use Dataverse search. Like model drivens also will receive search improvements. Why wouldn't you want that on? I don't know. I haven't researched it. I mean, they do have a learn more link here that you could read. But a lot of these things that are unchecked, you might want to, I mean, there's help features, custom help for customizable entities. Okay. Perhaps that is for, okay, custom, like you provide it. That's what they mean by custom. Enable custom help panes. Look at this. Power Apps Component Framework enables Power App Component Framework, or what, PCF. Have you ever heard of PCF? Now, that's a question to you guys. Do you want PCF included in this course? I'm going to put it. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to add it.
We might have trouble getting 5 parts of the course though with all this content.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably going to be like 10, 20 part.
I think PCF could be its own course. I mean, there's so much to that. And I think somebody suggested before, I mean, what about creating your own connector? Now, I'm not talking about custom connectors. Those are easy to create. You just configure REST API. I'm talking about creating your own your own connector. You know, for example, if we go in here, did you guys know that you can rename connectors now? That's amazing. So I just called it intra instead of Office 365 users. You know, let's add data. I'm looking for a connector here. You know, now these two are custom connectors that I've created. But let's say you want to get at Star Wars. So there's a guy named Paul. He created a custom connector out here. Okay, look at this. Microsoft has their own repo to get you started with custom connectors. So boom, now I'm already, that could be its own separate course. Okay, I'm going to call these related topics, separate courses, and I'm going to do this. So if you guys have any ideas for anything, links you're looking for, I'm gonna say contact us at support@superpowerlabs.co. That is a really good way to email me. It comes directly into my inbox. Now, if you have something super secret you want to send just to me, there's that email. But Elvis and my other staff get emailed if you do that. All right. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end it there and take a look at the cards. The cards I have up, hopefully that are appearing for you now as you're watching on demand, not live, of the recommended next video. And more than likely, what that's going to be is where is it? The playlist. So I'll have probably a link to this playlist showing on the screen right now, and probably the next recommended video. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much, Kenneth, for coming on and interacting with me here. Definitely appreciate that. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
no problem. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Yeah. All right. We did that.